Are you trying to get a win in online ranked battles but can't get past these three? Raging Bolt, Amoonguss, Incineroar. If you've ever been shut down by one, two, or all three of these Pokemon, then you need to watch this video. Let's get right into it. We're going to be recapping a round 3 match of the Stockholm Regional. Was Guillermo versus Javier, where as a new player, I was watching this and I saw something, and a lot of older players probably understand this, how much some of these support Pokemon actually do for their team and just completely neuter the other team into the point where they can't do any damage or they can't get anything off. So there's a point in this where Guillermo's Amoonguss doesn't attack a single time, doesn't do any damage, but walls the other team out. To me, watching that and understanding it now that I've been watching and playing for a while, that's absolutely ridiculous that a Pokemon not doing damage or not even being a threat to the point where something's really focusing it down, that it just sits on the field ignored, even though it's got so many accolades to its name. Everybody knows Amoonguss needs to be dealt with, and it still can just sit on the field, do what it wants, switch in and out. Okay, I'm going to start to where the match was already over, but I didn't know it yet as a newer player. But once you go through the game, the match, and you see the different pivotal points, you'll see that the match was over so far in the beginning of it that it wouldn't have mattered, even when you looked at the board state, what the other player was doing, that Guillermo was in control the whole entire time.
All right, let's get into this replay. I cut out all of the dead space, the move choices and everything like that, and went right into just the actions in the game. Here we see the Javier's Incineroar getting its fake out off, showing that it's faster, and then we see the Astral Barrage and how much damage it's going to do every time it gets it off. Then we go ahead and we're going to see the Incin switch out for the Raging Bolt come in, and this is where the game is pretty much over. These choices right here, the switching out of the Incin and going Terra Fairy, there's no coming back from this because of the board state. Incin was a threat to Zacian, but in no way is Raging Bolt a threat. So right now, in complete control, Guillermo is just going to take over this game. There's no choices left to be made. And this Terra Grass right here is going to give Guillermo another form of control over the electric type attacks from the Raging Bolt. Alright, this Astral Barrage is going to get the last little bit of chip, and then Behemoth Blade is going to kill Calyrex Shadow. And now Guillermo probably knows that it's over because of the fact that Javier has very little ways to get damage on his team that he can't recuperate through Regenerator, through Pollen Puff. And he can mitigate every bit of damage that's left. And he has a Pokemon right now that can one-shot the most dangerous thing on the field, which is Raging Bolt. Alright, here Amoonguss comes out and Raging Bolt hits the Electro Web, does a little bit of chip and slows the other team, and then Incin comes onto the field. Zacian's going to protect to block the fake out, and Raging Bolt is going to Draco Meteor onto Amoonguss and do about half health. And this is where the match starts to spiral, because Amoonguss spores Raging Bolt. And then Guillermo's Amoonguss returns. Raging Bolt comes back out. And Zacian does the play rough. And feints the Raging Bolt. And now it's 2 versus 4 before the flare, but Blitz finally KOs the Zacian. And then Guillermo's Incin comes out And when Guillermo's instant comes out, the board state actually doesn't look too bad. At that point, you have a ground type versus 2 Pokemon that are weak to ground. And it can't even take an electric type attack from Raging Bolt. So it looks like there's a chance. Like, and anybody who's played knows that they've been in the situation where Gastrodon just tanks everything, heals up, and slowly whittles you away. And with Instant on the field, being able to mitigate damage, you think maybe this could happen. All right, Raging Bolt is going to swap to Amoonguss, and then Instant is going to Pardon Shot Gastrodon, effectively neutering it for the rest of the match. They're going to Flare Blitz Amoonguss, do about a third of the health, and it's going to get it back from the Regenerator procs anyways. And we're going to see where this little dance is going to start to happen and everything's going to become out of control. The Earth Power doing about a quarter of the health that it's going to get right back when it switches out. After this Earth Power into the Amoonguss, we are going to see a Thunderbolt on Instant and get the KO. And at this point, Javier is possibly just collecting information. But he doesn't really get any meaningful information because he's going to get neutered so much that he can only know how much damage he's going to do at -2. But everything else in this is just switch in, switch out, get some health. But this is the part where we get the Spore, a swap, and a heal. And all of those things are really just going to keep adding up, and he guarantees that no matter what happens, he cannot lose. He's just going to keep whittling things down. This swap into the Pollen Puff. After the Spore. Absolutely beautiful. Like, there is no way for him to lose. And Earth Power into Instant at the low health would have cost him his Instant. But now he can take an Earth Power. Now he swaps back in. Fake Out. Even on a 1-turn Wake Up. Which happens. It's absolutely crazy. Every play he makes was made possible by these Pokemon, and one of them can't do damage to the Gastrodon, and the other one doesn't do damage to the Gastrodon. It's absolutely insane. And this is where, like I said, he's probably collecting information, because we get the knockoff, takes over the leftovers, gets a Snarl. Now it's -2 after the Parting Shot and the Snarl. And then he gets the Earth Power, so he can see how much damage he would do at -2 for the next 2 games. And that's all we're going to get out of this. And that's the end, because the battle's canceled. I wanted to go through this because I saw something in it that really awakened my understanding of using Pokemon like that are support Pokemon, not to just control the other team, but support each other in multiple ways, besides just like, hey, can this Pokemon heal? Okay, it heals. Can this Pokemon wide guard? Oh, it wide guards. If the Pokemon can deny turns and use redirection and have priority, or you have Pokemon that have priority, it's just when they all work in synergy together. To see it in the dance like this, where not even all the tools were utilized, it really did awaken my understanding of how dominating certain cores can be. And I'm not even talking about the restricted. Like, to me, both of these teams, the restricteds could have been replaced, and it could have been the same matchup.